What's up, guys? Welcome to Real Estate Power Play. Everyone out there on the internet, we have a real treat for you here on Real Estate Power Play. We're going to be talking about the recession. We're going to be talking about wholesaling and creative financing and strategies in order to find opportunities in today's market, right? Whether that's the recession lasts 6 months, whether it lasts 4 years, we're going to be talking about how to make money. Because, guys, here's the thing. There is always money in real estate. There's always money in real estate. And real estate is an exciting industry to be a part of. It's something that we can bring to the table. And so today we have brought the freaking masters here. We've got Mark Monroe. If I had a little cheering button, I'd do that. I'd hit the cheering button. And we've got Marty Grisanti. Guys, how we doing? Mark, you just got back from freaking South Africa.
Yeah, it was awesome down there. Nice and cold, winter. Did some crazy hiking, rode some horses on the beach, and a lot of wine vineyards. I didn't realize down in Cape Town area they had over 100 wine vineyards down in that area. Really good wine, nice and cheap. It was delicious. It was amazing. Had a great time. So thanks for covering. I appreciate it.
Dude, that's awesome. Aren't you, with this recession, aren't you supposed to be scared? Like, aren't you supposed to just be quivering in your boots and like huddling up in your condo in South Florida rather than traveling the world?
I kind of recessions are great in my opinion. They hurt a little bit the 401k and IRAs area, but you get some cheap discounts. I remember during the last recession, used to be able to travel a lot, and then even last year during COVID, everybody was freaked out and they weren't traveling, and I spent quite a bit of time. I spent a whole month over in Italy, and it was like, so you get a lot of great, better bargains and deals because they want your business. So, but
I love that. Marty, how are you doing,
bro? What the heck is going on?
Man, what's going on in your world?
So far, so good, buddy. We're here in New York. I'm the last one here in upstate. Just one person here. It's just me. Everyone's moving out. We're staying. No.
For you guys out there who don't know, which you guys probably do know because Marty is the man. But this guy is not only flipping Rochester and basically taking it by storm, but now he's jumping into the commercial, not just jumping in. This guy's like swimming in the ocean of the commercial space. If you guys are in that world, he is rocking it up and down, turning that place into to the new, I don't know what city you're trying to make it, but we'll go from there. So guys,
not New York City.
Yeah. That's for sure. Absolutely. So we're talking about kind of comes back. We want to jump into, and we kind of debriefed this a little bit earlier about the recession, about wholesaling, about doing creative financing. And if I might just kind of take it even broader and say just investing, being a real estate investor in the recession. So I guess to kick us off, I feel like for the last few years, a lot of people have been very excited about a recession, and now that they're here, people are kind of nervous, right? Now that fear has kind of creeped up a little bit. I wouldn't say it's at an all-time high, but they're getting nervous. Like, what do we do? What should we do? Should we wholesale? Should we do creative financing? Should we fix and flip? And there's a lot of these questions. Mark, I'd like to kick it off to you first. When you think of preparing for the next few years and really capitalizing and adding a couple zeros, what does that mean to you? And you mentioned earlier you'd been through the last recession. I'd love to hear kind of what you've come through, where you're at now, and what you're planning on here in the future.
Well, some of these people listen to the podcast or on one of the line streamings. Some of these people are going to say, "Oh, we're not in a recession." It depends on who you talk to. Yesterday, all the National Builders Association came out and said that we are in a real estate recession. That was yesterday, and today is the August 16th. So that just came out yesterday. So, some people saying, usually statistics like when you're 2 quarters GDP, you're in a recession when you're negative, but because of job growth. So this is a weird one, but either way, we are in a real estate recession. I mean, the way how things are looking and what we're all seeing out there in the real estate. So back to your question there, Ronnie, how am I preparing? We started preparing this stuff back in February. Marty, Ronnie, all of us have really been looking at this and trying to get liquid on some cash, making sure there's going to be some great opportunity. I shifted myself on, I was doing a lot of like land development stuff on single family homes. I, canceled a lot of those contracts, and now we're just mainly focused on multifamily now because that's where the demand is for, the affordable housing is really where the demand is at. So that's kind of where we're shifting our focus. And then also, turning the engine back on, doing the lease options and the creative financing stuff. That opportunity is definitely going to be there. And especially some of these sellers that have these low interest rates, 3%, 2.5% or whatever it is. I mean, there's, great opportunity where you can go in there and pick it up and have some really good cash flow. So,
dude, that's awesome. And guys, if you're listening, one of the things that I think that's between the lines that Mark is saying is he's constantly looking for that opportunity, and guys, Mark is a guy, he's been through the last downturn, through 2008. He's built and sold multiple businesses. And so when you follow this guy, he's got let's just say he's got some secret nuggets, right? That if you pick up on him, it's really good. Marty,
he's got gray in his hair. He knows.
Yeah, I don't know about secret. I don't know about secret nuggets. It's just a lot of trial and error and learning by mistakes. That's really, really what it was. You have to figure it out when you go through it. I mean, look at Sean Terry, how he came out in that last recession. I mean, that guy destroyed it. He picked up 200 to 300 subject to multifamilies, and he sold it all off to a huge hedge funds for multi-millions. I mean, look at what that guy did during that recession.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Marty, I don't think you've been through a recession, right? You haven't been through a downturn in real estate, but you have done, some killer. You've been doing flipping for a while now. You got into wholesaling, and now you and your partner are jumping into commercial. I'd love for you to kind of unpack where you guys are at in your business and what you're doing to prepare for the next few years.
So, great question. How we're preparing is by deal flow. We believe that we're going to be able to really separate ourselves by creating our own market. It's bonkers to me. It's absolutely crazy in my brain that some of the biggest commercial real estate owners here that I know and that I just talked to don't have any off-market strategy at all. Now, don't get me wrong. They have an unbelievable broker pipeline to their business, and that's fantastic. But as we all know, that's competition. They're not the only ones getting that deal, right? They're not the only ones seeing that. Many other big players are seeing that as well. So where we're going to triple and quadruple down is on our off-market strategies. And that's everything you think it is. And it's everything that you think it is in regards to like what you should be doing. Cold calling no matter what, right? The texting, the SEO, all those things are important in separating yourself. And so that's what we're doing, Ronnie, Mark. We're going so hard on what we do best, and that's finding off-market opportunity and bringing it to people who've already been in the industry and seeing how we can partner up.
That's awesome. So you're being a bird dog, kind of getting your foot in the door into that new industry, if you will, or another sector of real estate. That's great. Ronnie, how about you? The same question that you're asking us. Why don't you answer that question?
Yeah, I'd like to start with, guys, is I said this at the beginning, there's always money to be made in real estate. There's always money to be made in real estate. The question is, where is the opportunity? And so for me, that's what I'm doing is, okay, when in my wholesale game, the seller direct model, where's the opportunity? Sellers right now are experiencing a little bit more pain than they were even 6 months ago. I just had a seller that we just contracted on Friday. She reached out, and her thing was she wanted to pay off credit card debt, and she wanted a year's worth of money in order to rent because she didn't know if her job was going to last, and she didn't know what had it in store for the future. And so for us, we are starting to listen more of, what is our local market telling us? What are the buyers telling us? So I'm reaching out and connecting with the current buyers. What do they want? Are they long-term? If it's long-term, what are they looking for in cash flow? If it's short-term, What are they looking for as far as what are they buying and where specifically are they buying houses? Because now, as they're starting to tighten, as people are starting to decide not to buy everything because they're not selling at ridiculous prices, people are starting to say, okay, I want to buy, but where do I? Especially as I'm wholesaling real estate. And so for me, it's very, very much on relationships, understanding where my wholesale buyers are buying, right? What they're buying and what they want and their strategies. 2, on my flipping business, in the recession, here's my big old thesis for you flippers out there. If you're considering, hey, should I buy it? A quality designer product at the medium home prices are going to win. Okay. When you are flipping homes, half remodels are not going to work. Okay. Massive remodels where you need to pull a bunch of permits are going to take additional time, and time in a declining market is the enemy, right? So for me, what I want to do is I want to create a almost designer product. Whoops, I hit the mic. Almost a designer product at the medium home price. So you don't need salaries of $120,000 to $150,000 a year for you personally. You can literally you can make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 as a family and still own this type of home that is a cut above the other median home prices. So in my world, that's where I think the winning is. And then I think Marty hit the nail on the head, guys, is yesterday as in before, I was thinking about what was my revenue today, what was my revenue tomorrow, and let me solve problems, right? Today, I'm focused on where's my funding sources, making sure I've got those lined up and making sure I'm adjusting. 2, what does my deal flow look like? I don't want too much and I don't want too little. And then 3, solving any major problems that are happening, whether on the remodels, whether on the marketing. We just went through our marketing and revamped to say, okay, what do we really want? Guys, I cut out, this is crazy. I went through my marketing. I cut out over 70,000 leads that were in my system just because I didn't want them anymore, right? And so in my opinion, I think the big picture is where's the opportunity? And when you find the opportunity, not double down, go 1,000% in. I know Mark's going 1,000% in on his stuff and Marty is on his. And I think that's what we want to do. So adjusting from there, I'm going to flip this back to you, Mark, is you mentioned you're kind of focusing on creative financing. I want to know why creative financing, right? Like there's a lot of different ways to find homes. I know you've got a few different ones that you have. I don't want to focus on so much how you're finding the homes, but I think if people understand why you're choosing owner financing, I think that will give people confidence that they could choose it too. So why are you going that direction?
Well, first of all, it's funny, and I'm sure both of you guys have come across this. I saw the article last week on Bigger Pockets. I don't know if you guys saw that, where buyers and sellers are like totally not on the same page. Some of these buyers still think their houses, the Taj Mahal is worth all this money, but some of them are becoming realistic. But after they listed it and with a realtor, they didn't go anywhere. But I've always liked creative financing deals just because the market has been so hot the last few years. They weren't there as much as they have been. But usually when a property's been sitting like on a market, and I go after, I know you guys go on off market, but I like to go on market deals and looking go to Zillow and just find properties that have been sitting there for like 3 months plus because because those sellers are starting to get desperate and they're feeling the pain. So they need to sell it. And that's kind of where I like to focus in. And how this is one of my first strategies is the sandwich lease option way back when, many, many years ago. And I liked it because my background in real estate banking
Explain that, Mark. I'm sorry to cut you off, but explain that real quick for those who don't know.
A sandwich lease option?
Yeah.
Okay. So what a sandwich lease option is you go under contract with a seller that allows you to sublet it to somebody else. And this is great for Airbnb model as well. So I will negotiate with the seller. go and say, hey, you know what? I'll take care of all the maintenance repairs up to like $3,500. Anything more than that, then most likely your homeowner's insurance will kick in. It'll be like some type of damage, water damage, whatever it may be. But you're not getting that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, and they like it because they're having somebody making the payments, and I set it up where the payments are automatically done. And then what I do is I go ahead and find a tenant buyer, and this is where I really enjoyed it, and this is why I got into it, is because my background is real estate banking. It's a stepping stone for people that want to own homes and become home owners, and they can't because they don't qualify traditionally through the bank. So it's like a stepping stone. So most likely these are people that have really good income, but they have credit challenges, and it usually takes about 18 to 24 months for them to get their credit lined up. But we go ahead and kind of pre-screen them, underwrite them, and make sure they qualify, and then at the end they end up purchasing the property. So that's really what a sandwich lease option is, and that's how I started it, because I was doing loans for people back in the day, and they're like, hey, you know, I need to sell this home, you know, because I'm moving or I had this new contract. Say, hey, you know what, this is what we'll do is we'll refinance your current property, pull cash out so you can go move. We'll get somebody in there, do a tenant buyer, and it worked out well. And then those people, and they take care of it's a whole different type of tenant. They take care of the property. However, I do have a situation up in Mass right now where these people took advantage of the situation, and it's just a sad situation because they wanted this as a dream home, and they just stopped paying and destroyed the house. But anyways, that's only one case. But most of these are really, really good people, and they take care of the home, and it actually, believe it or not, it feels good, you know, to kind of help somebody knowing that you're accomplishing and getting them into a property. So I enjoy that, believe it or not, more than making money on the deals. It's just knowing that you help somebody to get into a property of home ownership. So that's kind of how I got into it. And that's the sandwich lease option. So I kind of like that. And I like that during a down market because you're helping the seller and you're helping the buyer. But then you also can go into it and do a contract for deed or a seller financing or a subject to. So those are the different options. So anyways, I don't want to take everybody's time up.
Dude, no, I love that. I think that's killer because you're solving not only the seller's problem with they can't get the price that they want on the home or cover the mortgage that they're looking for, and you're solving a buyer problem where they can't go get a traditional mortgage. They might have the monthly payment. They might also have a down payment, right? I'll give you an example. You know, when I started my business, when I jumped in and I was coming in to buy my home, what happened is I had plenty of money. I actually put a huge down payment down, right? I put literally a quarter of the property value down as a down payment. And I had the monthly payment and worked it out. But what happened is because I was self-employed and because I took so many deductions, they wouldn't actually give me a loan, right? And so what that had is I negotiated an owner finance deal and the terms were fantastic. I had enough money to put down and I had enough to pay the monthly payment, but the bank just didn't like it. And so from a bank perspective, and I think that's why lending is so interesting going to this market, is if we can provide an opportunity for people to buy homes, I think that's where this opportunity opens up, right? Is now, okay, the bank says no because your credit's 600 because you had, you know, a medical bill, or your credit's bad because of blank, or you lost your job. So you started your own business and you made $100,000 the first 6 months, but now they won't lend to you because you don't have quote 2 years. All of these are reasonable, high quality people that they might have 2 or 3 or 4 kids that don't want to live in an apartment, right? That don't want to pay rent. That's actually probably more expensive than the monthly payment, right? They want a home they can own and that eventually they can work to a point where they can refinance. So I think that's amazing. Marty, in the recession, with where you're at, we're talking about wholesaling and lease options. Man, what are some strategies that you are implementing, and what does that look like? Like, why are you adjusting?
Yeah. So one of the strategies that we're using is we love to buy through seller financing, and we love to do it with specifically landlords that are like, my thesis is that all these baby boomers, just like you see that are in, that are selling their companies or they necessarily have an heir to sell these companies. So that's another opportunity for people that are looking to buy businesses, because you can buy all these boring businesses, right, that you probably see online. You hear a lot of people talking about that the baby boomers own. Same thing with real estate. It's a boring business, truthfully, in regards to like the management of it. And so what I think is there's going to be a huge opportunity where these landlords who are like in their 70s and they still want to get that check, right? So they still want to get that monthly payment, and they just don't want to do the management anymore. They don't want to do that. They want to be the bank now. They're in that position now where they want to go fishing. They want to go to buy that house in Florida, whatever that might look like. And here's the other thing, guys, for people listening I get to this question all the time, is like, well, how do you get a seller finance deal? You have to understand, a lot of the people who bought, like a lot of these baby boomers that are now, 60s, 70s, they bought through seller financing, because that's when the interest rates were really high back in the 80s. So they kind of already get it. And honestly, the savvy ones, or even the people who really kind of even haven't a clue, they want to sell this way. They just need you to kind of know what you're talking about, right? So anyway, yeah, I think the seller financing opportunity is huge. Bring it up. Hey, Mr. Seller, would you take your equity in installments? Okay, what does that look like? Well, it looks like this. I'm going to put a nice chunk down. I'm going to make you feel very comfortable. Okay, I personally guarantee it. And oh, by the way, I'm going to take care of everything. You're the bank. So, again, I'm the owner. You're going to have an attorney. I'll have an attorney. We'll do the deal very much by the book. But instead of you having to answer that phone call for the toilet, I am. Because again, I'm going to be the owner, and I'll pay the insurance. I'll pay the taxes. You're going to be just like Wells Fargo. You just received the check. I'm not going to call Wells Fargo to say, hey, there's a roof leak. That's my responsibility. I'm the owner. I'm taking full responsibility, but you're holding the note. And so you kind of sell that to them. And oh, by the way, the tax advantage, you're not going to get hit with that huge tax bill. It's probably 20, 30%, depending on your tax bracket. Let's do that over a period of years. And the more you sell it, because they're going to get it, they're going to start thinking, okay, so I'm going to get that monthly check. Yes, sir. And with the interest, it's going to actually be more, right? Yep, absolutely. Well, why don't I just hold this thing forever for you? Absolutely. And that's the kind of, you want those wheels spinning in their head that they want to hold this longer than 3-5 years. You want them for 30 years. Now it's an insane cash flow play for us young, 30, 40, 50s, right? That now you can get real cash flow, and that's what we're doing.
I like to piggyback off of that. Actually, Marty, your exact same thing. What happened was with one of my JVs yesterday. He was at one of our properties, and he sees this older gentleman on the side of his roof. Up on the side with a ladder, not at his roof, but is doing siding and getting ready. This is up north. He's a 65-year-old person, has 9 properties, and he's tired and he's done. So, and that just happened yesterday, exact same thing. So we saw the neighbor out there. He went over, started talking to him. He's just like, yeah, I'm 65 years old. I'm kind of tired. I've had these for years. And I just want to start enjoying life a little bit. I'm getting too old for this stuff. So that's a prime example of what you just said. And they're all free and clear.
It's a great point. And let me just add on to that, because I had this revelation just today. I was at the gym, and this is for my cold callers out there. I think we're so quick to tell them what we can do for them, right? The sales pitch, right? And I think during this time, it's so important to build rapport. No one cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. And I think if we can start to just get better at building the rapport, that's how seller financing deals occur. It's through the rapport. It's through the asking of the questions. Oh, how long have you owned it? Well, I've had this thing since the 80s or the 70s. Oh my God, you've been doing real estate since before it was cool. Yeah. Oh my God, now I hear it. It's everywhere. And you just start to talk to them. They think you're a human being. And now you can offer some solutions because they're already presenting you to potential problems. Just by saying you're 70, it's already a problem in my book. That means you're getting tired. I know you are. It's just humans. We get tired at that age. So start to just ask questions, build rapport, and then all of that bounty will be there once you take the time to listen and ask questions. So that's something that hit me in the head because I've been very quick to tell them what I can do for them, and I'm not doing nearly enough good a job to telling them, and listening and really getting what their story is.
I'm convinced, Marty, that there is more opportunity now, specifically in the seller direct, than there has in a very long time, and probably in the last 5 years. And here's why. It is exactly what you said: is people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And when we're reaching out to sellers directly, what do we find? We find huge walls, right? We find walls where people don't want to open up. We find people who say, just give me your offer. People just are like, nah. And it's not that they don't want to sell. It's that they don't trust you, right? So a thing that I've done to open it up is, and we started doing this on our acquisition side, is literally asking them, hey, Mr. Seller, how can I help you sell? And I actually wrote the list here from my notes when I talked to my team. It's, hey, how can I help you sell? Right? Do you want to list the property? Do you just want to put it on the market? Do you want a quick and easy sell, something you can just do cash and just sell off market? Do you want me to take over the mortgage and maybe give you a little bit of cash? Do you want, to rent it out or kind of get the most money without having to deal with tenants or toilets? And you give them multiple options. And in that question, you're kind of throwing it like, hey, how do you want me to help you? What does that look like? And then you can explore those options. And if you refer it to somebody, then you refer it to them, right? It's no problem. But I think that what you mentioned as far as opportunity goes, it's being a human, right? So many of the people in our industry are not humans. They get 15 text messages a day. They get 30 calls from, people overseas that don't even know what they're talking about. They've got to go through 4 people before they actually talk to an actual person.
Right.
And so their walls are up. So if you're willing to go directly to them yourself or have someone who's competent speak to them on behalf of your company, well, I think that's when you can build that credibility. And I think that credibility is key to building rapport. And especially going into the recession, people are going to be scared. People are going to look to people who seem competent, and they're going to be more willing to listen, and they're going to be more quick to shut down things that seem like scams. And so I think the more that we can open dialogue, the more there's opportunity for wholesaling properties, the more there's opportunity for doing creative financing. How many times, guys in the audience, I'd love to hear, how many times have you brought it up and people are like, no, right? And so you're thinking, oh, well, I guess they won't do it. Well, it's because they don't understand, right? It's too complicated to them. But if they trust you as a source, they're going to be like, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? Oh, well, this is how I helped a previous seller. And I think going down that direction is really, really, really strong. So we talked about what we've gone through, right? What Mark has gone through, going through 2008, the strategies he's implementing, the strategies Marty's implementing. We've talked about some of the opportunity that is available and what that looks like. I kind of want to talk a little bit about real estate being a local game, right? About the importance of understanding where you're going into locally. Now, Mark, I know you kind of operate from a national level, but as far as real estate goes, from a recession and prices, if prices go down in California, that doesn't necessarily affect me in Michigan, right? If prices go down in Florida, that doesn't necessarily affect Marty in Rochester. So what are some ways, or what do you recommend people get really good at to be able to tell in their local markets with investing rather than just being fear driven?
So you're just I don't do a lot in my local market right now. Our market's still hot here in Florida. It's crazy. And then there's other markets where the prices are being slashed and homes are sitting. Florida's just not unusual market. Everybody's just migrating here, mainly because of the political environment down here. That's kind of why everybody's coming here. And we have zero taxes. I mean, we had a surplus of $21 billion last year, not paying income tax. I mean, what are the odds of that? So anyways, Florida's great, knock on wood. Prices have gone through the roof and they keep building. Hey, so local markets, are you saying doing the research, or what are you asking them, Ronnie, like on that question?
Yeah, I think mainly most people are investing in a market, right? So how can they make sure, I guess, they're buying a good deal? We're saying, hey, there's always money in real estate, right? No matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what strategy that you're doing. It's just a matter of understanding what is a good deal and what is not a good deal. What are some things they can do to make sure that they're choosing the right property to get into?
I really just kind of coming up with a strategy and making sure you're educating yourself on that particular strategy, and going to your local whatever market you're in. If you can get in a car and drive and go to some meetups and network with other investors in the area, that's probably the best bet. I mean, Marty, that's his market. That's more of a probably question on him. He does a lot of that stuff, and I think he just did an event a couple weeks ago that turned out really well. So he knows his market inside and out. And in the markets when I'm looking in, usually I'm reaching out to realtors, wholesalers. Um, if I'm going into a new market, it depends on what the product is. Believe it or not, I reach out to civil engineers. They know a lot of what's going on in the market. But realtors, probably the main one, and start building a relationship with realtors and boots on the ground in that particular market, and just kind of get the feel of like, hey, what's going on? How long homes are sitting? Are they pulling back, what type of inventory you have? So that's kind of what I tend to do, is just kind of get out there and just start educating myself. And realtors and experienced wholesalers really know that market really well, but especially realtors, that's probably where I really lean into. And then contractors in that market too, like how long it takes to get something done. Hopefully that answered your question.
I think that was awesome. I think that was great. Marty, any additional thoughts on that?
Well, you typically want to be in your backyard if you can, just because you can drive to those places. I heard something that was kind of interesting. One of my mentors was on a phone call with Joe Fairless, and Joe Fairless, well, basically he said, be the big fish in your town. There's so many big fish. Like he's like, because my buddy Matt was like, should I look into Charlotte? Charlotte, all these hot areas, right? Charlotte or Atlanta. And he's like, there's so many other big players there. Why don't you dominate your area first? Right? Dominate your area first. So that's what we're doing. We're going to dominate our area first. And I think a great way of doing that is setting up a thought leadership in regards to like a meetup or some sort of mastermind within your own community. And what's great about those is that if you're just somebody who's outgoing, you don't have to be good at real estate at all. You can be a complete noob. But if you can just bring people together, you're going to get the access to those people that you probably wouldn't necessarily be able to. And restaurants and bars, they love just groups of people coming. So you're not going to have any pushback with just having, an organization coming to like a restaurant or like a bar or something that's easy to get people to go to. So be good at something where you can bring the people, remember it's always it's not the how, it's the who can get me to where I want to be. Not how do I get there? That's way too hard, but who can get me there? So if you start thinking that way, I think it's really helpful for your local market. And I'll even say this, there is not a better time to work on your digital reputation than right now. So even if you're brand new, a website's free. I'm pretty sure you can get like a Weebly for free. Have a website that tells people what you do. I just had an opportunity that came across our desk where we got the favor compared to the other buyer because they Googled our name and they saw, reviews. And then they also saw it was nothing to do with the podcast. So you don't have to have a podcast, but they saw a forum on Bigger Pockets that I was like helping somebody. It could be the strangest little thing. But try to build that digital reputation, because today's day, someone's going to, if you're trying to buy something, they're going to look you up. And if they see a Facebook profile picture of you not being somebody who they want to work with, right? If they're looking at pictures of you partying and doing dumb stuff, that's not somebody that I want to work with. So keep that in mind. It's a really good time to build that up, because that's going to help build out your local, reputation as well.
That's awesome. I think the local reputation is amazing. I think that's fantastic. Guys, if you're getting value out of this, please like it. Please share it out for us. We come here every Tuesday with kind of tips of what we're seeing in the local market, how to succeed, what to do here on Real Estate Power Play. And also our podcast comes out on Thursday. I'm running into things, and I'd be curious to your guys' thoughts on this. So I get emails. I get probably like 8 to 12 properties emailed me per day right now. Okay. Like in my email inbox, like I'm getting flooded with properties. I don't know if you guys are, but I am. And so as I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, so that means there's more houses that are available, which means I have more to choose from, which means that wholesalers are having a harder time selling them, right? Because they have, right, their normal relationships are saying no, so they're sending out properties. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, well, what do I really want to buy? And so as I'm putting this together in my own strategy, I was like, you know what? I need to get really good at analyzing deals quickly to find opportunities. Because if other people are having a hard time selling, and I can be kind of let's say the one to kind of sweep in and either help them move it by having the relationship, and or be the one who actually buys the deal because I want that deal, because I know what I want, or provide another option for them, or be able to renegotiate with the seller or provide some value, that there's an opportunity there. And I think this concept of being a wholesaler, being a real estate investor, is synonymous in my mind with being an opportunity seeker, right? Is figuring out, okay, what am I seeing? What are people struggling with? And how can I provide value to them? So one of the things, guys, I'm working on, and I'd love to know kind of your take, and if you guys are doing similar, is analyzing deals and getting much better at analyzing deals in a downward market. Before it was easy. Before you'd pull a comp and you'd say, okay, well, if I put it on the market, I might be able to get 10 or 20% higher if I do a good product, and it will be able to sell. So you could really be kind of loose, right? You could be loose. You could kind of guess, right? And you would be okay. And if there was margin for error, that margin you didn't really have to worry about. So now I'm thinking, okay, I need to get better at analyzing and figuring out, okay, how can I sharpen my analysis of properties in a quick way? Then how can I take all of these opportunities that are coming and sort through them so that way I can double down and capitalize on the opportunity? That's what I'm finding, right? And that's kind of my position that I'm looking at is I want to sharpen. I want to figure out what's an actual opportunity, and honing down. And I actually changed my area that I'm investing in. I cut out one of them just to kind of bring closer to me. Marty, are you finding the same thing? Are you adjusting? Are you like, what are you doing? Or are you not seeing so many deals? Like, how are you cutting through the noise, right, of what's available? Because I think a lot of investors, and maybe my point here that I'm trying to do outside of just talking, is a lot of buyers are saying, you know what, I'm just going to pull back. And I don't think it's a time to pull back because there's more opportunity. I think it's a time to sharpen our sword to be able to make more money. So how are you kind of sharpening and cutting through the fluff, the people who are like, what are you doing to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I'm just like you. I'm getting all these leads sent to me, and they're crap. I mean, they're just crap. So it's really tough because we're so used to, buying in a certain way. And listen, you got to have your buy box down. This is where you really want to have your buy box down, and you want to be conservative. And guess what? You can be. You don't have to buy everything. You don't have to buy anything you don't want to buy. You guys, you got to remember, we make money when we buy the thing, right? So when Ronnie said that you'll always be able to make money in real estate, it's because, yeah, if the deal used to be where you'd have to get it for 100, well, now you got to get it for 80. That's all. It's like, yeah, maybe it's stalling a little bit. Things are slowing down a bit. Okay, well, It doesn't mean I'm going to get more aggressive on my numbers. I'm going to make sure my numbers are my numbers, and I'm just going to pass on stuff that's just trash. I mean, you look at it this way, all these hedge funds that used to buy anything at like 90 cents on the dollar, 99 cents on the dollar, all this crazy stuff, they're not buying anymore. They're not. So they must have made some mistakes. I'm not sure. But our business went from, maybe it was like 50,000 a month or something along those lines, any given month, to it's way down, way down, because they're not buying crap anymore. And so that's what I'm still seeing. I'm still seeing the crap that just doesn't make sense. And so I would say just have your buy box down, sharp. And so that when that deal does come, but don't stop it. Just know that when that deal does come, you got to be able to attack it, but you'll feel more comfortable and more confident because your buy box is so compact and ready to go.
Can I jump in here?
Go ahead, please.
So it's funny because my admin right now, we have 7 offers to get out right now, and he's still doing it. I'm like, dude, what's taking so long to getting these offers out? And he's saying the same thing. He's running into issues with some comps. But to piggyback what you guys are both saying, in my approach, how I've been doing in one of the things that we've been looking at flipping is the gold used to be in the deal. It's switched. The gold now is your buyer. So when you find a buyer and understand what the buyer is, that's the gold. It's no longer the deal. It's switched. So if you know your buyers, what their buy box is, then you can go out there and structure deals and talk to the wholesalers or whoever. So that's kind of what it's flip-flop. Before it used to be the deal used to be the gold. The deals are still coming in, but you just don't have the buyer. So now the buyer is really the gold now. So you kind of
great point, Mark. Great point.
Why is the buyer? Well, and why is the buyer the gold though?
Because it's most of them are pulled back now, and there's less buyers. So when you do have the buyer and you have to understand the buyer, that's really what the gold is. I mean, it before you used to have the buyers lined up. It was hard to find the deals. Now you can find the deals, but you can't find the buyers. So it's flip-flopped. And that's kind of where the mindset needs to change. And that's where when you find that buyer, and that's why I like creative financing deals, because your buyer pool is so much larger versus your fix and flip buyers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, and the reason why the owner finance buyer pool is bigger, because you're not selling directly to investors only, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. So here is, in my opinion, a massive tip. Okay, so just a nugget alert. This is a real estate power play right here. All right. So all y'all listen here is, if you want to accumulate houses and you know where you want to buy and you know what you want to buy and you want to build some massive zeros to your net worth, figure out what the prices need to be in the zip codes that you're willing to buy. That way, when you're flooded with stuff, if you see a zip code and it falls in your price range, you immediately know, I need to call this guy. Right? I immediately know I'm interested in this. If you know that Mike Smith will buy houses in 49504 for between 60 and 90,000, and he's going to hold them, then when you see a wholesaler push out a deal at $72,000, you can call the wholesaler and say, hey, tell me about that. Right? And then you can call Jim or Mike, whoever I said, and say, yo, Mike, I got one you should look at. Let's go take a look at it together. And then you can take them out there. But this allows for speed, and you know what your local market is. But I think piggybacking on what Mark said, that's the gold. And realizing that if you're a buyer, you are part of the gold, right? If you know what you want, and that's why you're able to pick up deals that you want to buy. If you're a flipper, know what type of deals you want to buy and know how big you're going to be in and out, and know the areas, because you'll be able to make very quick decisions. If you're an investor who wants to hold them long term, know what you want to buy and know what the prices are, because you can cut through that mess and you can jump in. I absolutely love what you said, Mark. I think it is overlooked. I think that people are so consumed with fear that they're paralyzed and they don't understand what to do. And I think if we can just get clear, it allows us to move in the direction we want. So,
well, Ronnie, let me just say real quick. Let me say it quick.
Go ahead.
It kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning when I was saying rapport, right? You want to build rapport with sellers, of course. But if you have rapport with the buyer, they'll take a chance. They're more likely to take a more riskier chance on a deal because they like you. I mean, that's just the truth. It just is. So I'm the type of buyer where I want to know my wholesaler. I just do. I don't want to just look at a deal that comes across my desk. I don't know your name. I don't know who you are. Could be scammy. So what Ronnie's doing makes a ton of sense, where he's going through right now and asking buyers, what are you looking for? You know, build up that rapport. There's always like a little bit of a fence where it's like, yeah, you're trying to sell me something. I am a buyer, but no, listen, I'm just trying to figure out what you're looking for, what you want, what problem I can solve for you. And then, yeah, take them to the deal, show it to them. Now you're building up somebody who's a partner with you. It's not just a buyer, it's a partner. And that's what you want. You want deals to be sent to partners because they're going to be straight up with you and they'll try to make it work. They're not going to try to kill you, but they're going to try to make it work. So I thought that was really good. Rapport with the sellers, but definitely rapport with your buyers. It could be just as important.
Awesome. All right, guys, we are coming up to the end of the hour. Guys, we've had an amazing episode here. If you guys gone back with just some strategies going into recession with wholesaling, with creative financing, some of the stuff Mark said was awesome. Guys, go back, rewatch some of those nuggets, the power plays, the things and strategies you can do to add wealth to add wealth to your life, right? To establish and to gain the freedom you want, because in real estate you can do that. So to circle around the room, Mark, final thoughts on wholesaling, creative finance in the recession that you'd like to leave people with?
Yeah. Just be prepared. Always look at several exit strategies. Just don't go with one exit strategy that we've always, last few years, we always went with one exit strategy. Make sure you have, A, B, and C plans as backup plans when you're doing a deal during a recession. So just so you don't get hurt. But, there's amazing opportunities there, because those people that only went in with one strategy and they're falling on their face, that's great opportunity for you to come in and step in and grab those deals.
It's awesome. Marty?
Yeah, like I said, it's time to find out who the real buyers are in this market. So make some calls, talk to some people, take them out to lunch, and that's only going to help you in regards to even potential partnerships, potential business opportunities. Get on the phone.
I love that. Back in 2008, the people who made the most money were the people who had their head up and their eyes open, and the people who were prepared, like what Mark said. I think being prepared, we talked a lot in this episode about that. I think it comes to sharpening your acquisition process. It's rapport and learning how to build rapport with buyers and sellers and understanding what they are looking for and what they want, so you can maximize the strategy. I think tightening up, and I think we talked a lot about that, tightening up, not being so loose with what we're doing, but tightening up the way we analyze deals, tightening up our internal systems and processes, tightening up the properties that we want. And guys, we didn't talk about this, but I think this is key. God, this is a time to educate yourself, right? To invest in you, right? Invest in going back and watching the old power play. We've been talking since January, guys, about the changing market. We've talked about how to find deals in 2022, how to do cold calling, how to reach out to sellers directly. We've talked about sales and dispo. We've talked about a lot of this in a changing market. And so invest in yourself, because the more that we invest in ourselves, the more that we can contribute to each other, and the more that we can help every one of us win and attain that freedom that we want in our life. And so as we're going into this recession and we're plowing through and whatever that may look like in the coming future, remember there is always money in real estate, no matter if the market's going down or going up. It's a matter of finding that opportunity, being very, very sharp in your analysis and your acquisitions, and then having a way of getting rid of it and capitalizing on that money. So guys, go back, watch some Real Estate Power Play. Look up our podcast on iTunes. Guys, if you guys find value, go download the stuff from iTunes. It is amazing. Until next week at noon Central on Tuesday, guys, take it easy.
Later.